Hello, everybody. We are live. Hello. Welcome to our stream. This is our first live stream for Bricker Builds on YouTube, and we're really excited about it. It's not just me, though. I have some guests. Let me go ahead and bring them in here. There we go. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
If you guys want to introduce yourselves to our audience, make sure to do that. So why don't you go ahead and, Christopher, start us off and introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, I'm Christopher Gerhardt. I, with Adam, have started Bricker Builds, been designing models since we started in October. And yeah, just enjoying the process.
Very nice. And we also have Mr. Dave Holder.
Hello. Yes, thank you. Yes, Dave Holder from Australia. Been lucky enough to work with these two guys who have established the Bricker Builds and work with them to bring everyone Pikachu that you can see next to Adam sitting there. So a model designed by me and launched on the Bricker platform for people to build alongside their other models. And yeah, been great working with everyone so far and keen to talk to you today.
I will say Dave has done many more models than just that Pikachu there. He's got quite the repertoire.
It's growing.
We got Jason in the chat who says your accent is epic.
It's just very, very, very normal for me, but yes, thank you.
Yeah, we're the ones with the weird accent over here.
Yeah.
Where in Australia are you from, by the way, Dave?
I live in Melbourne. So Melbourne's is the in the southeast of the country, so quite far down, tucked in the corner of Australia.
It's really funny that you're from Melbourne because I'm from Melbourne, Florida originally. So not Melbourne, but Melbourne.
Melbourne.
So, yeah, Melbourne. So, but anyways, we've got some more people coming in here. Alyssa. Hey, Alyssa. We got Chewbacca Animations as well. We got people coming in from different places. But for anyone that's watching, we're going to be talking a lot about Wave 3, which is the most recent wave of instructions that are on the Bricker Builds website. Of course, Dave is the designer of Pikachu. So we're going to be talking about the design process and these models, showing them off. And yeah, just talking to you guys. So if you guys have questions about these models, whether it's Pikachu or Commander Cody, we also have our Scout Trooper as well here for Wave 3. Feel free to put those questions in the comments and we will be answering those. So feel free to let us know what questions you have. We've also got some questions from Instagram already, so we'll be answering those as well. But yeah, how are your guys' evenings going so far? Or I guess morning for Dave.
Morning for me, 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
on 10 a.m. on Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday.
Very nice.
I see Alyssa is in the chat. I've been emailing back and forth with her. Good to see you.
Yep. Very good to see everybody. We've got more people coming in as well. Chewbacca, the Cody helmet looks awesome. Let me pull it in here so you can see it a little bit better. Oh, as I broke the tin off. There we go. There's Cody. So the real cool thing is that both of you guys have worked on these models for Wave 3, and I did not design either of these. So I definitely want to talk to you guys about just what it's like to work and create on these massive sculptures. I built both pieces of Cody, and I also built Pikachu, which were an awesome build experience. But Dave, why don't you tell me a little bit more about just your background as a designer, kind of what got you into building these? Of course, Pikachu looks amazing. So tell me how this came about for you. What made you want to design something like this?
Yeah, totally. I've been working within like the Lego brand for quite a few years now, luckily. Started working for the Australian LCP, Ryan the Brickman McNaught, for anyone that knows about him, over 6 years ago now, and have just kind of developed and grown from there through just experience. Like all things, it takes a long time to get comfortable with what you're doing and how you're working. So it was a very long-term plan of mine years and years ago. I'm like, man, I've never seen anyone build like a life-size Pikachu before. And then after a few years of working within Lego, felt like I maybe had enough ability to then actually try and tackling large projects like that myself. And that's where the idea kind of stemmed from. And it did take a while. Like I think the first one I kind of started just went in the bin because the face wasn't right and the size and the scales and things weren't right. But it takes a long time to be able to develop that experience, I think, to be able to build things like that. And that's why we're making the instructions for people who don't quite have that time to build up that experience but want to have these models themselves. So it was quite a long-term goal. I think I originally built it three or so years ago. So to now finally see it built by someone else on the other side of that screen and have instructions for it after a long time is really quite cool and quite rewarding to see. It's very funny to see one sitting on the other side of the screen. But
yeah.
So Dave, what's your favorite part of that Pikachu model? What was your most proud design element there?
I think I like the eyes because they have like a little bit of brown underneath them. That kind of adds that extra little bit of shading. So it kind of adds in the natural shading when you just look at the model, but then also the kind of the brown just textures it a little bit more. He's definitely based on the original Game Boy one, like chunky Pikachu. Pikachu, I think,
he's a big boy.
Yes, Pikachu has had, I think, a bit of a rebrand over the past couple of years to make it kind of like a bit skinnier and a bit more, almost like a bit more human-like, kind of more human-like proportions. But really wanted to do justice to the very original design before Pikachu kind of had that diet and that makeover. But no, the like you can. I don't know if you can really see through the video there, but like he has like little curved details and stuff on his like paws, like on his feet and his little hands, and then the nose is a round piece as well. So adding in those modified bricks and round bricks to kind of really round out the design is something that I think
his feet as well. He's got some curved special pieces on his feet as well.
Yeah.
Something I'm really fascinated by when I looked over that model is the way that you use plates so efficiently and so craftily. Like around anywhere there's like specific details, like you mentioned the eyes, where you've got some brown underlined under the eyes to bring out that detail. There's the mouth there as well. I really like the way that you've used plates sparingly, but really well.
Thanks. Yeah, it takes a bit of time to kind of figure out what design choice works best for you, and that's just over time have I wouldn't necessarily developed a technique, but just get experience where to use them best for your building style, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I think a lot of people and we had someone else in this in the chat mention this, how proportions are really hard to get in Lego, just because, I mean, you're working with like a square medium and it has to be fit in this system of measurements. So like getting a thing that looks organic and curved is it something that takes a lot of practice and time and a lot of work. So this is definitely worth it though, as you can see.
So we have some questions in the chat for you, Dave. One from Courtney. She says, does Pikachu conduct electricity? Asking for a friend.
I think he does the exact opposite. I think if you ran an electric current through a block of plastic, I don't think it's going to do much, to be honest. We might have to get swap out the red cheeks for some some custom metal conducting bricks, and then run, maybe you can put an electrode on one side of the cheek and then the other, and then conduct electricity through his cheeks, maybe.
That would be really cool. You could like do some lighting or something eventually, like to make his cheeks, I don't know, some kind of light effect on him.
Where's what is it? Light my bricks. Where's the partnership there?
Yeah. We'll need to make him fully glow for the full effect. But I know there's some other people here who are coming in, but Dave, you've also designed not just Pikachu, but some other Pokemon. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about your experience building Pokemon sculptures? Because these people don't know, so they need to know about all the amazing Pokemon you've built.
Yeah, so it started with Pikachu. Originally just like as a bit of a once-off. This is back when I was working inside a Legoland Discovery Center. So for anyone that's been to a Legoland or has any idea what they're about, it's like a Lego-based theme park. We had the model builders workshop and just built the Pikachu and kind of placed it in there. And just the feedback that I got from that was just immensely positive. So I had lots and lots of people always wanting to talk about the model or come and have a look at it, take photos with it. And that's what kind of prompted the, I guess, the journey into starting to make the other ones. I had not really ever planned on being like the Lego Pokemon guy, but that's kind of where things have just taken it. And I guess the good thing for me is there's just so much variety between all of them. So sometimes a good thing and a bad thing, like you're essentially looking at each model brand new. It's not like, oh, I've built one Pokemon before. This is, you know, a walk in the park. This is exactly the same. Mm-hmm. Each model has its own challenges in terms of where to start, where to end, you know, the number of bricks, just the feel for it as well. But Pikachu, funnily enough, is pretty straightforward. You know, it's pretty much a big yellow blob. I don't know if it was the same with you, Adam, but building it takes a bit of time before it feels like that what you're building is going to resemble something that looks like Pikachu. Like I remember originally designing, I'm like, this just looks like a yellow bowl for you know, half of the build. And it's not until you start adding in the hands and then the cheek and the mouth come up. But even up until when the ears are done, it still just doesn't quite look complete. So going through the process of actually trying to make the character look alive and look real by the end. Like for anyone that's watching, if you just kind of like, if you bring Pikachu a bit closer to the screen, if you just like put your fingers over where his ears are, it just completely changes the look. Like if I'm like, just a little earless Pikachu, it just looks like a weird yellow little blob. Yeah, there we go. It just doesn't quite look right. So when going through that process and designing and building it, it's like, does it look right? Does it feel right? And then finally, when you get to the end, it's like, okay, cool. It's all come together. But yeah, each Pokemon is vastly different, which is great. But having to start essentially a design process and think about each individual model differently can take a lot of time of planning.
For sure. Yeah. And for people that are watching too, Pikachu is built a little bit differently than our other models in that he's built layer by layer. So it takes time before you start to see him fully take shape, but it's a really satisfying build just seeing him, you know, and then at the end you just step back and it's like, oh my gosh, it's Pikachu, you know? So, just a really cool thing to see come together over time. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about our other helmets as well, and we'll kind of bounce between back and forth. So if you guys have questions for Dave or Christopher, feel free to leave them in the chat or comment, and we'll get to as many as we can. But Christopher is the one that is responsible for our Commander Cody as well. So I want to talk a little bit about this. And I saw some people who were asking about how we choose our helmets that we do over the last few months. We've been releasing these Star Wars helmets. So Christopher, why don't you talk to us about Commander Cody? Tell us about why Commander Cody? Why did we do this one?
Oh man. Okay. Well, Commander Cody is, I think it's safe to say that he's my favorite model I've designed. He is absolutely massive. Like put him up, next to that Scout Trooper, the mini Scout. It's pretty massive. So some of the fun parts about designing this were the color palette that I got to work with. I mean, Lego's color palette fits really nicely into the way that Commander Cody's got those dark tan stripes up on the top. He's got the bright orange markings, some dark blue for the lines coming down I don't know if you call those breathers. But I really liked how Lego's color palette fit pretty nicely into this design. I also really liked designing it to line up with some previous designs we've worked with. So if you see that 501st Trooper in the background, the sculpting on that model will very closely align to that Commander Cody sculpt you've got, with some minor changes, because Commander Cody's helmet isn't quite the same when it comes down to like some detailing on the front, little tweaks here and there. But it was really fun. Just as I was working on this, I was just picturing displaying this helmet next to some of the other clone helmets we did, and man, it's pretty exciting to see that sitting on the desk next to all those other models.
We had the Daily Brick asking about how long do your respective builds tend to take, the design process that is. So Christopher, why don't you take this first, and then Dave, we can hear about your process after.
Yeah, so the process is, I would say, 3 parts. The first part is finding an artist that will design us a 3D model of whatever sculpt we're looking at. So for Commander Cody, got someone to design a model for me. And this is, of course, not a Lego model. It's actually like a model like the kind of thing you would make if you're 3D printing a helmet for yourself. And then once I've commissioned that, we pull that into our software and generate a 3D Lego sculpture, very similar to what you see there. And then what I'll do is I'll come in with some sculpting tools, and I'll paint little details like the white stripes on the helmet. Those were painted in by hand. And then you've got some detailing on like the black markings down at the bottom there. Little details, little fun things like the antennas over on the side, tweaks to make sure that it's structurally sound and it's not going to fall apart if you pick it up. So little things, I come in with that sculpting brush and make adjustments. And then you've got your final build, and then order the parts and build it. So all in all, I would say the process on my part, once I've got that 3D model, definitely varies, but I'm going to say somewhere in the range of 5 to 15 hours.
Very nice. Yeah, I mean, like we've talked about this a little bit already, but how, you know, each helmet has different design elements, and they take different amounts of time depending on what kind of details you're working on, like adding like the sculpting of the painted markings and all of that. So definitely a great result though. So let's talk about Pikachu though, because I know we mentioned this a little bit earlier, that the design process for Pikachu, this has been for you, Dave, kind of in the works for a while as you were, you know, figuring out the best way to get the best design for Pikachu. So roughly how long did this process take for you? And when it comes to designing in general, how long does it usually take you to make something like this?
For me, when I talk about the process, I think it always kind of helps to talk about the time that it took me to be able to have just the basic skills to do it. Because I know a lot of people get intimidated when they see things like this, and they're like, I could never build this. I was in the exact same position. And it took me quite a few years to develop, I guess, the confidence and the combined ability to build something along those lines. Probably the design for Pikachu, once I actually thought, you know what, now's the time to do it, was probably less than 5 hours. To do it, similar to what Chris said there before regarding shaping tools and things like digital shaping tools, is how I kind of get the body, and then working on like each individual smaller part where there'll be some finer details. So it's a bit of a combination of some 3D model sculpting and then using those Lego parts to, you know, create the finer little details. the model came together, yeah, pretty quickly once I had kind of set my mind to it, and then things just kind of felt right. So yeah, maybe 5 hours to kind of get that original planning of Pikachu done. But then I think the first model probably would have taken me about 15 to actually physically build out of bricks. And that's probably in contrast to some of the more recent models that I've done, where the planning process has been, 20 plus hours, 20, 25 hours before I actually start doing any building. Whereas Pikachu was a lot less, for anyone that was watching just a bit earlier, like he's just a bit of a yellow blob. So in terms of the, those fine little details that were added came quite naturally to our little blobby yellow Pikachu. Whereas some other models, like there's just a lot more preparation time before you can even start to build them. But yeah, I wouldn't say not too long. Once I was like, now's the time. This is now the time to actually get this model done.
Yeah, I think the common denominator here is the actual build. Thanks to some of the tools that we've come up with for ourselves, the actual build, putting the pieces where they're supposed to go and everything, that's pretty trivial. The exciting and the artistic part of things is figuring out what colors to use, figuring out how the sculpt should look. Hey, should this be, should this Pikachu be using this method of capturing the eyes the best way we can, or should it be the blocky look? Little things like that. And then I think specifically of when I was designing Spider-Man, those lines that you see all over his, Spider-Man's webbed lines, those were not trivial at all, because the model that I received had, the details were very hard to bring into the model automatically with our software tools. And so I ended up going in there with paintbrushes and literally painting each of those designs brick by brick onto that model. So those kinds of little details do take a little bit longer, and they do take more of an artist's touch, which is what I'm all about. So,
Dave, Alyssa asked a question. What is your personal favorite build that you've worked on?
If we're talking Pokemon, then probably Squirtle, which I've just recently finished. I wanted to build that. Pretty similar story to Pikachu, is that after I finished Pikachu, the next one I wanted to do was Squirtle, and I tried to start it, but it was just far too time intensive to do all that preparation. I started the project, and then it just wasn't turning out the way that I wanted to, and it took me probably another 2 years before Squirtle was built, after starting the preliminary design work a couple of years ago. It's probably in 2019. I was like, okay, cool, I've got some shows and stuff coming up, let's see if I can get Squirtle done. And I, for the life of me, tried very, very hard, but it just wasn't coming together. So now that it's kind of come together and people have been providing really nice feedback towards it, it's like, okay, that extra time that I spent and kind of almost just put it aside and shelved it for a bit of time was worth it, so that I didn't release, or I didn't make something that I wasn't happy with. So kind of, I guess, good advice for anyone. If something's not kind of coming together, it doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you maybe need to look at it at a later time. And that was definitely the case for me. But yeah, in terms of Pokemon, I've done lots and lots of really nuts builds over the years. But keeping it to just this type of stuff, Squirtle was pretty satisfying to finish.
We got a question here from Max Marsh, who was asking about the Scout Trooper helmet. And he said it has some pieces that aren't plates or bricks. Do you or Dave plan to do this more, or just stick to traditional bricks? So, Christopher, why don't you talk a little bit about Scout Trooper and what's different about this compared to some of our other builds?
Yeah, so with Scout Trooper, we've always been doing this to very small degrees, and it's kind of hard to pick out in the past. But with Scout Trooper, we really went all in on putting specialty parts in there to spice up the most important parts of the model. So especially on the front visor, on that, I don't know if that's a breathing apparatus or whatever that is. it's using a lot of specialty parts. So it's using round bricks, it's using tiles and slopes, even a ski pole, a Lego minifigure ski pole. And then also up at the top there, right under the visor, there's 3 lines that are on the original Scout Trooper helmet, and capturing that with bricks is a bit challenging. And so what we ended up doing is using plates there to get those finer details in there. And so Max points out this is something we worked with Dave on. We brought in Dave for Wave 3, and he really brought a lot to the table. Obviously, Pikachu being the most important one, but he also brought some real talent on sculpting with some specialty parts. Like Adam was just showing the back of that helmet. That's a really cool use of plates and some snot techniques to get a really fine detail back there that you couldn't have with any other, with typical brick design, straight up brick design. And so the question, I've completely not answered the question yet. The question being, do we plan to do this in the future? Answer, yes, absolutely. I mean, I personally love the way that Scout Trooper helmet turned out. Yes, we're going to do that more for sure. You can expect some pretty sweet details coming soon.
Very nice. And yeah, of course, Dave has integrated this into all of his builds where he's using, these little specialized pieces for the nose. Like, I love the little nose for Pikachu. This is this little round tile on this round 2x2 plate, and it just looks so cute. Especially when you see it from different angles, you realize, oh, it's a round brick. It's not a plate, or it's not a typical square plate. So that turned out really well. We got a question from Karma Joe. Just really loving the items y'all are putting out. Thanks, Karma. Thank you for watching and tuning in.
Thank you.
Let's see. We got another question from Alyssa. Chris, do you, Dave, and Adam, perhaps, are you going to do something special for May the 4th? I'll let you take this one, Christopher, if you want to take the answer on this one.
Well, as a Star Wars fan, it's hard to believe that we wouldn't have something planned for May the 4th, but that's all I'll say.
Very nice. And that's all we'll say about that.
And stream over.
Moving on. Well, I have to ask Dave, because we haven't really talked much about Star Wars with you, Dave. Are you a big Star Wars fan? Like, how does Star Wars play in your life? Because I know you're a big Pokemon fan, but what does Star Wars mean to you as far as that goes?
I think that I have slowly edged off Star Wars a little bit, only from a collector side of things. Like, I got pretty into Star Wars Lego and have every UCS like collector series set that has been released since probably like 2013 or 14, maybe even a bit earlier. But then as I started to do a lot more building of my own models, I needed to kind of do that, make that decision of like, do I buy the Lego sets, which of course are awesome, but very expensive in Australia, or do I start to invest that time and that money as well into doing my own stuff? So I've shifted away a little bit from the collecting the Star Wars stuff, but especially growing up, very, very diehard Star Wars fan. Hold on, I got something very close to me that I can bring. Give me a second.
Oh, exciting!
Yes, show and tell. I love this. I've got all my Legos downstairs, so it would be a little bit of a hassle to bring them up. But I mean,
would people be interested in seeing a cool minifigure collection, a Star Wars minifigure collection?
I know. So Dave and I were talking about his collectible minifigure series too. He's got a ton of the CMF minifigures. We were talking about that last week, but oh shoot, my anticipation.
Sorry for abandoning you like that, but no. I just recently went through and bought like a brand new sealed inbox minting card of the first figure that I ever had. So what I've been trying to do is kind of just relive specific nostalgic moments. So what's this one? This is the crowd control stormtrooper, and this was the first like Star Wars figure that I ever got as a kid back in 1997 after seeing the reissues of A New Hope back in the cinemas in Yeah, 97. So yes, still a. In short, all that time to just run away and grab that. In short, still a massive Star Wars fan, but have had to just dial it back down in order to focus on other stuff. But I still do have all the UCS collection ships and things like that. I just don't buy every Star Wars Lego thing that I see anymore. I kind of keep it to a 1 per year purchase when they release, like the A-Wing and the Y-Wing and the X-Wing, but they're all stored away at the moment because Pokemon have taken over a little bit, actually.
I'm the same way. There's only so much Lego one can afford to display too. So you have to think about where are you going to put this stuff when you buy it? Yeah. I've got like a ton of boxes. I've got the Mos Eisley Cantina set still boxed up in my garage downstairs, and I haven't built it, and I need to build it. But yeah, I don't know where I'm going to put it when I'm done with it. So it's so big.
You've got like 30,000 pieces, like just in that one frame.
Yeah, just behind me. Like, we don't have room for any more, but we keep making them. So
you've got 10,000 in Spider-Man alone, and then you got kind of 3,000 to 4,000 in each other model. So
yeah, all it takes. I'm glad that we don't have like earthquakes here in Atlanta, because I feel like I would go to bed every night just scared that these things are all going to come crashing off the wall or something. But
you're just going to have to put them just put them on the floor every single night on like a rubber mat.
Just tuck them into bed.
Yeah.
Very nice. We did get some other questions. I want to get to a few of these from Instagram. Some people were asking questions, and Christopher, you might be able to answer a few of these, but we had one from Hulston H, who said, where can I get the blocks for these in the UK, and how much will it cost ish? So if you want to talk about where people can get bricks online, a lot of people might not know about where to find bricks and pieces.
Yeah, so I would recommend, first of all, check out our tutorial on the website. We do get a ton of questions, and so we wanted to help explain a lot of those in detail. So we recorded a tutorial on the FAQ page of our website, and that explains how to download your instructions, what you can expect when you order on our website, and also it shows you step-by-step instructions on how to purchase those parts that you need from Bricklink. I think we just mentioned that you can purchase from other places like Lego Pick-a-Brick or Brickowl, but we go through Bricklink typically, and that's a really reliable way to get your bricks. So check out the FAQ page. I can post that link onto the YouTube chat here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So people can find that.
There it is. Awesome. And then before we get that next question, I was just going to show my favorite Lego Star Wars figure.
This is a flex. Now you have to just go grab like your rarest figure.
I did.
Camera.
Yep. So
let's see it again real quick.
This is the 1 in 10,000 gold-plated C-3PO that came in a very few Lego Star Wars sets. I believe this would be 2005. And I've cherished this one. It's still it's not the original plastic bag, but it's still in a plastic bag to keep it safe. I couldn't keep it in the bag. I had to take it out and admire it, but
man,
that's my favorite figure.
See, now I've got to go grab something nostalgic and cool now, don't I? Like
you just put your arms around and just like drag all these models in around you.
Who cares about minifigures? I've got a Pikachu. I did recently. So there's a shop here in Atlanta called Atlanta Brick Co., and they sell all these old Lego sets. And I recently went there to get some pieces for one of these models, and I couldn't resist it. But I bought one of the old Aquazone sets. I don't know why. I've been in a really nostalgic mood, but it's like the Hydro Sub, some random name, but I love all the like the trans green parts on it and everything. So it was a nice little trip down nostalgia lane there. But anyways, I did see something I thought was a comment from Alyssa that I wanted to mention. She was asking about conventions. and going to some of these conventions. And I wanted to let you, Christopher, if you want to talk a little bit about what our plans are in that regard.
Yeah. So I would say we will definitely be coming to conventions. I mean, the most important thing would be we want to start meeting you guys in person, and we want to show off these models in person, because I think you can see pictures of these things all you want, but then seeing these in person, whether you're building it or you're going to see it at a convention, it's mind blowing. Like, Adam will show me builds as we're working on them in the development process, and then it's not until I actually go over and look at them that I'm like, what? This is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, yes, I would love to go to conventions. We are planning to. That's in the process as well. I'm sure Dave will be. Dave, you probably already show up to a lot of Lego conventions. You're pretty involved in Australia, right?
Yeah, quite so. Probably the biggest disadvantage for me is that Australia is very vast. So there's a lot of time to travel between some of the major conventions. Because of COVID stuff, it's been a bit rough. So there hasn't really been anything for a while. But the main one in my city won't be until January next year. So there's a fair bit of time to wait. But some other smaller ones are kind of slowly popping up. But between Melbourne and the next biggest capital city is a 10-hour drive. So if you want to display at the major ones, there's a lot of time involved. But yes, in short, I do display at the local conventions. But having a year gap means that it'll just be even more at the next one, I think.
Awesome. Specifically to, I think she asked about Star Wars Celebration. I would absolutely love to go to Star Wars Celebration. The last time they had it was near my hometown, and I think it might have, like, I forget exactly what happened, but I was planning to go and then I wasn't able to go. But I would love to go to the next one. That's high up on my conventions list.
Star Wars Celebration is awesome. I went to the one years ago when it was in Orlando, and it was amazing. So that is definitely one that if you're a Star Wars fan, you should go to that one. But yeah, we'll have to, pay for a plane ticket for Dave to come fly over here and partake in one of these conventions at some point.
I won't be allowed back.
Oh yeah. This will of course be once things have settled down, and but yeah, as soon as I'm excited for conventions, because as soon as COVID kind of lets up, like, it'll mean, things will start happening again, and we'll be able to get these models on display. And I was looking through I was creeping on Dave's Reddit the other day, and I saw one of your displays where you had all your Pokemon models out on the table, and it was just amazing. So I can't wait to do something like that you've done already, but with the helmets and Pikachu, of course. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We had Dams or Dehams. Can you show us the 501st helmet? I just bought it. Dams. Let's grab it real quick. There you go. There's the 501st helmet. This is one of the helmets that's on our website, and you can get the instructions for this one as well.
You should show it next to your head. Yeah. Check that thing out. That's huge.
It is huge.
This one, I know someone asked earlier, like, what some of our favorites were, and this one is definitely probably my favorite. So there's the back. I don't know if you can see it.
It's got some of the weathering patterns, some of the scratch marks up on the blue paint.
Just for you, Dams. Just for you. But yeah.
So we've earlier back, Alyssa said she wanted us to set up a booth at Comic-Con Orlando. Orlando has MegaCon, or New York and San Diego. Sounds fun.
I'm in. We need to make a whole tour across the entire. We need to make a global Bricker Builds tour and hit every convention.
That would be quite cool.
That would be fun.
Really cool. So for you, Dave, what are the conventions in Australia again that you go to? It's Brickvention is one. I know.
Brickvention's held in my home state, but it is probably the biggest Lego convention that Australia holds. It might sound like chump change to you guys, but it's about 20,000 people in attendance, and that's over 2 days, or maybe a bit more. Maybe like usually 10 to 12,000 people per day through that particular one. And then there's the usual kind of like Comic-Cons and the spin-offs from that, and all the various pop culture ones. And then there are what I would probably say are still big but smaller Lego conventions that kind of get maybe 10,000 over a weekend or a long weekend or something like that. But Brickvention is kind of the biggest one, and yeah, very lucky that it's held in my home state. And then probably similar to you guys, heaps and heaps of regional ones. So it'll be my first like small pop-up convention in over a year, on the 10th of April.
Wow.
And that's in a regional town called Bendigo, and that's maybe 2 hours from Melbourne. So a little bit of it's close, but it just doesn't get that same attendee numbers as like a massive kind of capital city convention. But I'm really hopeful that it'll be quite good though, just because people have been waiting to go to a convention for a long time. So the regional ones popping up now is quite good for us, I think.
Yeah, I know. I sure have. I actually grew up right near Brick World in Chicago. And so I've been going to that, I think, just about every single year since I was probably 10 or 12 years old. And man, those displays there's probably like, they just rent out the most massive convention center, and they just display, there's like Lego displays, like life-size models, like just tons of Lego fans as far as the eye can see. It's crazy.
Got a question here for you, Christopher. And I guess this also kind of applies to Dave too, and some of the other work that you're doing, but she wanted to know, have you thought about doing other themes besides Star Wars and Pokemon? Now, I will say first, we did do one other theme. We did do Spider-Man. Spidey's back here. So he's not a Pokemon to my knowledge, but what's some of the, can you answer that for us and maybe give us a hint as to what we're working on? I don't know. You answer it how you want. All
right. Yeah, well, we have been doing a lot of Star Wars and a lot of Pikachu, a lot of Pokemon, one Pikachu. But yes, there is, we are hoping to branch out, and of course, May the 4th is coming up. So, got to plan accordingly, but we've got, do I want to tease this?
I'm so nervous about you picking up Spider-Man.
Man, I don't know. Man, I don't know how to tease this well. We've got something else coming. Yeah, something else that I think people will be excited about, and I've got probably 20 or 30 people requesting it already. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's funny because some people who are watching a lot, we always ask people for like, hey, what ideas should we work on next, or what models should we work on next? And people always say, oh, this or that, and they don't know that we've already been working on some of those things.
It's true. So it's hard not to say.
Like Cody was one that people were requesting a lot, and so that was really cool just because people really, really requested that one. So a lot of the ones that people are recommending have already started development or are in the process of development. But yeah, that's oh wait, it's My Little Pony. Yes, you've got it correct. We're going to be doing My Little Pony, life-size My Little Ponies, starting on May the 4th on Star Wars Day. So
Chris is a massive brony.
Yeah,
true.
But yeah, so I definitely, if anybody has feedback or suggestions for models that we should be working on, please let us know, because we are marking all of those suggestions down, and we have a really long list of models that we want to get to eventually, or that we're working on right now. So feel free to give us your suggestions. She said a NASA would be cool, like a space shuttle. That would be really cool.
That'd be fun.
I think Lego's probably going to do something like that.
Like a giant space shuttle.
Yeah, like one of those awesome SpaceX rockets with like the pointed tip. Oh, those are so cool.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'm trying to get any other questions. If you guys also, anybody who's watching, have questions about the design process, or any questions about our other models, feel free to let us know. I'm going to be answering, trying to put as many as I can out here to Dave and Christopher. We got one question. Brickmaster Nate said, "What's 9 plus 10?" From Instagram. So what's 9 plus 10? Dave, can you answer this question for me?
I'm trying to think of something funny, but a 9 plus 10. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
There you go. Exactly. Christopher, to you, what is 9 plus 10?
I don't do math. I don't that's
Obviously.
a challenge. Yeah. Something like 38 or 20.
A non-existent Lego piece.
Exactly. It's like the what is it? The 1x5, you know.
9 by 10. That would be crazy, and probably very hard to find a use for.
There's some weird length plates. There's like 10 by 14 plates, and probably not 10. Anyway, there's some weird plates that exist. I'm like, I feel like 8 by 14 doesn't need to exist, but there it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was discontinued a while ago, right? I ran across. See, I've been doing a lot of software development, and I include in the code all the bricks that it can use, and I believe I had an 8 by maybe it was another size, but there was these massive bricks and plates that got discontinued a while ago. But I guess they were using like I think there's a 12 by 24 brick a while back. Maybe it was a plate. Anyways.
We had another non-math related question from Mr. Sterling 332 on Insta, who said, y'all have made some great replicas. Do you plan on releasing an original non-canon design? That's an interesting question.
I haven't heard that before. That's fascinating. I would love to do that.
We're going to make, we've already talked about it, but Pikachu wearing a Stormtrooper armor outfit.
That would be kind of cool, actually.
There you go.
You could practically put up that Cody helmet if it was a little more hollow. You could practically put that on Pikachu. Yeah, maybe not that one.
Just pull his head off and just like slap a helmet on the top.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that would probably work perfectly.
Yeah.
Maybe not like brutalize poor Pikachu on a live stream, but yeah.
No. We do. And I don't know if Dave, we've told you this, but we have had many requests for drop test videos, and like real fancy slow motion, throw one of these off like a 2-story building. And there was a resounding cry of, please don't do this to Pikachu. So that is the one thing we're not going to be throwing Pikachu off of any buildings, but we were looking at one of the live streams we did on Instagram, and we were telling about the drop test, and people were like, no, don't do it to Pikachu.
Man, he's quite hollow, and because he's basic bricks, he's quite clutched together, but at the same time, he's got a lot of space on the inside of him that would just implode. Essentially, he would definitely not have a fun time in the concrete.
I don't know if you guys have been watching Lego Masters in the US. They might have done something similar in Australia. I forget, but they had an episode where they
did it first.
Did you? Okay.
They did do it first.
Where they dropped tests and then have like multicolored bricks inside to explode like confetti. Yeah. So fun.
Whatever happened on the US, we Nah, not we haven't done everything first, but we've done a lot of stuff first.
We had a quick question from Max. Thoughts on Mega Blocks? Do we even speak of this? Do we even need to mention Mega Blocks? What do you guys think about Mega Blocks?
Personally, I have absolutely no issue with any block company as long as it's not stealing other people's IP, like as in like designs that like a Lego set has done and they've knocked it off. Like I think Mega Bloks definitely fills like has a part in like the construction toy genre. Yeah, for me, Mega Bloks is not a thing. I think Lego is the better brand, but you know, if someone likes a theme that Mega Bloks has, I will absolutely not judge someone for playing or collecting or buying Mega Bloks at all.
Wow, we're gonna have to call Brickman and tell him how you feel that you want to switch to Mega Bloks now.
But look, Mega Bloks have done some cool stuff. I'll send you guys some links of some things that Mega Bloks have done, and you'll be very impressed.
I know they've done their own like sculptures of Pokemon because they have the Pokemon license. So I've seen some really cool store displays of like Charmander with blasting some fire or something like that. So I know personally for me, I usually if I find a Mega Block in my collection, it goes in the trash. But that may just be me. I may be too harsh on them, but
well, no, the trash would be the most the simplest, most diplomatic solution compared to mine. I would typically take them out back, shoot them with BB guns, burn them. I would never donate them because I could never give a poor child a Mega Block. So
you guys are too hard.
It's true. It's true. Mega Bloks, I'm sure, has a place in someone's heart. I feel bad for the person.
On a more serious note, I guess a more sentimental note, Stormy wants to know what were some of our first MOCS when we were starting out with Lego. Christopher, what were some of your first MOCS?
I know I did a Lego sculpture of like a human way back when. Of course, I was using Lego yellow for the skin color. What else? I did yeah, no. I did a dinosaur. I did a spaceship that I put on display in a fire station way back when. I would always do board games as well, and that's actually something that I still do, is like build cool mazes or like structures, and then basically design rules around those builds. Like maybe there's a die with like, you know, different Lego tiles on each side that have different meanings. Like, hey, you can now advance to a red tile, or in the more advanced stuff that I've been doing more recently, you know, it looks a little bit more like a strategy battle game, like a tabletop game, something like the Lord of the Rings tabletop or Warhammer.
Very nice. What about you, Dave? What were your early childhood Lego creations?
I feel like I can't talk about this now, but I'm going to anyway. But I think what also set me up to want to do like Pokemon and animals and stuff is I actually had like this collection of dinosaur models, which was Mega Bloks. Avert your eyes. They like lots of like earthy tones and like big boxes of just like that basic brick. And so you'd kind of get all these different parts for dinosaurs, and then you would make your own. Like you'd have the set, but then it had all these like dinosaur parts to make your own dinosaurs, and these like mini sculptures. I'm going to send you guys photos of them afterwards, and I think you'll be like, man, I'm getting some newfound appreciation for Mega Bloks. But it was mainly a lot of like brick built stuff from a very early age. I didn't have too many Star Wars sets or anything like that, because I had a lot of younger siblings. So for me or my parents, they wanted me to have the sets that had the bigger pieces in it, and these dinosaur sets was pretty much boxes of basic bricks to kind of make these dinosaurs. So using those sets was in terms of early like childhood mocking type stuff and what I was kind of into, it was like dinosaurs and animals was what got me started.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dinosaurs, same here. And Dino Attack was one of my favorite themes growing up.
Oh,
Those
yeah,
were
that was
awesome.
so if you mentioned Dino Attack, that's my turn then to tell my little story. So Dino Attack had one of those like Lego magazine contests where it was a model building, you know, and the winner would get like $100 worth of Lego. But I won one of those, and that was like the highlight of my like young Lego building career. But I built this jet that was, and they put it in the magazine. And what was cool was they added all these like effects to it that they didn't do for all the other models and everything. So to this day, I am still proud of that I won one of those. The only downside is that the subscription to the magazine was like it was like one of those paid. It was like what was it? The Master Builder magazine or something where you had to pay for it. And the subscription was under my brother's name. So now if you go back and look, it's actually Aaron Nyes has won the that contest instead of Adam. So it is an eternal shame that I carry that I did not get my own my name on that achievement.
Man, that's a bummer.
But, yeah. We had another question or just comment from Sergeant Sledgehammer, who got their Pokeball parts on their way. I'd love to make Dave's Charmander at some point. I know, Dave, where can everybody see your other Pokemon builds if they want to go check them out?
Instagram is probably the best. Well, is the best, not probably. Instagram is the best place to have a look at anything that I'm working on or any of my previous models that I've done. There's a pretty big collection of photos up on there. And I'll be posting some even more photos this week of a new model that has been shown a little bit, but not properly shared. So anyone that follows will see some new stuff this week.
Exciting.
Very nice. Very, very nice. So mysterious.
Yeah, you know, if I tell everyone now, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm not interested in that." You gotta tease it a little bit.
The people want to know.
Well, like in terms of a model that I'm working on at the moment, my final Kanto starter should come to life in a matter of weeks. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to showcase that in April. So do the maths, figure out what's been built, and it's not too hard to realize what's going to be the next big build.
Very
and it's big. It's very, very big. It's about 9,000 bricks.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Pretty much like basic bricks. So it's like it's going to be very, very big. It's going to be it's very daunting already, but it should be very cool once it's all finished.
Very nice.
Exciting.
Very exciting.
So we have some.
I was going to ask, are you preparing for that convention in April then? Is that where you're going to try to debut this model?
Correct.
Gotcha. Very nice.
Because the last convention I did, I only had 4 Pokemon for it. I had Pikachu, Geodude, Ditto, and Eevee. So the number of Pokemon since then has doubled, and I want to try and bring everyone there, but also kind of round out that Kanto series as well, and just kind of be that thing that I've been looking to do for the past few years, and kind of like tick that off and be like, okay, excellent, that's now done. What else can I look at doing next?
Very nice. Very nice. Christopher, you had something to say?
I was gonna. I saw a few comments that we had missed. Going back a bit, Courtney says electricity test for Pikachu. I think she's the same one that had asked if Pikachu conducted electricity.
We need to blast it with electricity, is what she's suggesting here, I think.
Yeah.
Put it in like one of those the Tesla machines.
Yes.
A Faraday cage, I think it might be called.
Yeah. I would love to do that. I mean, that would be one of the coolest pictures. I don't know if anybody in the comments knows where we can get a Faraday cage with like the Tesla coils. Please DM us because we want to use it to take pictures.
They've got one. Awesome. Yeah, they've got one near me, but it's as part of the science museum, and I don't know how keen they'd be to be like just chucking in a plastic Pikachu right in the middle of that.
We had a couple more comments. Dams21 wants to know, would you guys consider doing the Avengers Infinity Gauntlet? This is something that we've definitely gotten suggestions for in the past. Christopher, are we doing an Infinity Gauntlet?
Ooh, I wouldn't keep your hopes up for that one just yet. That would be awesome. Oh, hey, Barker. Yeah, I mean, Infinity Gauntlet would be very cool. I do think Marvel is kind of giving us some pretty exciting new content, so maybe we could explore some of their newer stuff.
Yes,
would be cool.
I agree.
The challenging thing with that is the color. That's really I've gone through the process of trying to build a life-size one myself through an unrelated project, and it was kind of put to the side because yellow just didn't really fit with the feel, and dark tan just was too dark. There just wasn't the right colors. There's been some really cool MOCs that have been done in gold, but life-size, Thanos is 10 feet tall or something like that. So his arm, the gauntlet itself is over 0.5 meter long. It's a very big build. It'd be like the biggest build, pretty much.
I have seen an Infinity Gauntlet, a life-size Infinity Gauntlet built. I think it was by Brick 101 when I was visiting the Brick World Convention. I don't know if anyone watching would have seen that, but it was pretty cool. It's got like the articulation, so he could move his hand and have all the fingers move. He had the Infinity Stones all lined up on the hand. It was pretty cool. But I think I think it would be interesting to see what we could do with an actual sculpture of Thanos's Infinity Gauntlet. That would be cool.
Bricks45 wants to know, how do you organize your pieces? This is a good question.
Are we talking about like at home or when we're building, or?
Let's try at home first. So Dave, what does your collection like organization look like? Like, how do you?
My things, I'm reversed. So I'm trying to do it, but I'm reversed.
There it is.
So for me, most of the stuff that I have primarily organized is by type and color, because most of my structures are basic bricks and then plates. I've kind of focused my sorting arrangement to just really focus on the parts that I'm going to use the most. For other colors, they're sorted by type and color in like a big tub, like a 50-liter tub, and then in sandwich bags. And then when I'm going to build something of that color, I'll take out the bags and put them in trays, and then have them kind of, it's kind of project to project, but kind of behind me, you can see, so this is all in kind of a row, like 1 by plates, 2 by plates, 3 by plates, 4 by plates, 6, 8, 10, or corners. Some colors that I don't use as often are kind of like mixed together, so like lime green and regular green. Kind of sorted in a combination of, well, what am I going to use? Any piece like Technic piece, for example, like pinning a lot of stuff in for structure and whatnot. So these just all get put together because they're usually internal stuff. But yeah, for me, it's type and color. For those playing at home, I always recommend by type. Anyway.
Very nice. Christopher, I know your collection is not with you right now fully, but how do you organize your pieces at home?
Yeah, I'll answer it for 2 different ways. One, when I'm actually building like a model for Bricker Builds, it's very simple. I put the plates on one side and the bricks on the other. Reason being, usually there's not enough pieces to make separating out by type any faster for me. But when I'm organizing at home, when I'm building something exciting for Lego stop motion animation or just a mock for myself, I'm typically organizing more specifically by type. I wouldn't say I go as far as Dave's structures there, just because I probably don't have as many parts. But I'll definitely put like 1x1s together. I don't actually sort out by color usually, but I'll put all my 1x1s together, the 1x2s, 1x3s through 4s I put together. And then I think anything above that go in a bin as well. And then anything more specialized, I have very specialized places for those. When I was little, when I had a smaller collection, I had a bin called onesies and a bin called twosies. And that's where I put my studs, my 1x1 plates, my what do you call those? It's like what you use it for a gear shift on a mini Lego car, or what they use for bug eyes sometimes.
What was that? Piece.
Yes, antennas. Those the things that you're using for the top of Pikachu's paws there, or whatever you call those. The arched slopes.
Yeah.
Anything that's like got a 1x1 stud on it typically went in my onesies bin.
I totally forgot I had these on the other side. So yeah, when I'm building, I'll usually put them into a box like this. So this is kind of sorted by 1 and 2 by bricks, 1 by 3, 1 by 4, 1 by 6, 2 by 2, 2 by 3, 2 by 4, 2 by 6. And this is kind of like the lifeblood of any kind of build that I'll be doing. So yeah, I've got a few behind me. So I think this is probably left over from mainly Squirtle. So brown for the shell, and some tan and some other bits and pieces. So yeah, in a container kind of like this, and then bulk bricks in the garage. So yeah, white's quite full, and then I'll have a 50-liter container in the or more on. So yeah, this is how my sorting kind of is, but because of the frequency and the size of the builds I'm doing, it makes sense. Oh, sorry for the noise, everyone. It makes sense for me to sort mine to that level, but that's kind of how I go about building usually. When the project happens, fill up those tubs full of the color I'm using, have them next to me, and then go for gold.
Very nice. Yeah, I see a lot of people organizing by, it's either, you either sort by color or you either sort by type, but
if
you do it by color, you need a slap across the head.
I've seen collections that are literally the entire collection of dark bluish gray all in one bin, from the 1x1 plates to the 10 by 20 bricks, or that probably doesn't exist, but yeah. And then you've got all the specialty pieces in there as well. It makes me sad. But
the 12 by 24
hey,
brick
if it works for you.
Though.
What's that?
That 12 by 24 brick you were talking about before is a real piece.
Crazy.
Wow.
It doesn't get used it doesn't get used anymore. It got kind of discontinued, I think, when Lego did their rebrand in 2005. The last set that it was in was the 2005 Sandcrawler.
Oh wow.
Oh, that was a good set.
We had another question from Alyssa, and she wanted to know, you have so many ideas for next projects, also known as Wave 4. What's the process of who makes the cut? So how do we pick which models we want to make and release instructions for?
You're right, Alyssa. We do have so many ideas. I distinctly remember getting a email with, I would say, somewhere in the range of 150 to 200 ideas. And that was from one person. So we've got from one person. So then we've got, some people giving incredible suggestions in the dozens, and then you've got your one-off requests here and there. I will say that the number of people that request a model is definitely convincing. And then the other thing that's convincing is how well I think as a designer that would turn into a nice looking sculpt. For example, Commander Cody is a no-brainer. That thing looks awesome. And I mean, it's easy to capture some of those details with plates. And Yeah, it's naturally going to turn out pretty structurally sound. So that's an exciting one to tackle. Some of the ones that I think would be, I've gotten a lot of requests for. This is actually one of the ones that we're not currently working on, but I would really like to see. We've gotten a lot of requests for General Grievous. That's one of the ones where that would be absolutely epic. But I really don't know how to tackle that one right now. Just because he's got a lot of, he's a robot and the way that his neck is supported and the way that, all these random parts that, mechanical parts that help hold his head up, they don't necessarily translate well to a structurally sound Lego build. So that's something I'd like to tackle. And that's something that typically, is a question we have to ask when we're looking into whether to do these.
That's a good suggestion, though. I like that idea.
Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. I would love that. I would have one right here.
We'll talk after the stream's over.
Yeah.
He is.
But thank you, Alyssa. I do want to make sure I say I absolutely love every single time I get an idea, whether it's a single idea or 150 ideas. We always welcome them, and if we could do all of them, we would. But I only have two hands, so and I'm always typing away and using my mouse away. But
I'll transition this to Dave because as someone who's working on, you're completing your Kanto set of Pokemon. How did you pick and choose the ones that you were going to do? Because you've done a Geodude, you've done Togepi, you've done a Ditto. How did you land on? How do you choose which Pokemon you're going to build on for your own collection?
Some are a given, and then some are a bit strategic in terms of putting them together. So Pikachu, which everyone can see in the stream, was a given. That kind of had to be the first one to do. For anyone that's been watching the stream for this long, again, thank you. But you might have heard me saying before that the next one I tried to tackle was Squirtle. It's that kind of original Kanto starter group, but it was just outside of my depth to be able to get the model the way I wanted it. So it was kind of put on the shelf for a while, just because of the variety of colors. It has I think 7 main colors for that particular model, which proved very difficult to kind of get the parts and kind of put it together. So then Charmander jumped up in next place, being kind of a primarily orange model. So I didn't have to worry too much about integrating the different colors together. It was a lot more straightforward to get that model finished. So those were the first two. And then what kind of determined the next couple that I built actually came down to availability they had for brick. Because each model has at least 2,000 parts in it. Pikachu sits at, I think, 2,300 roughly, just a bit more. And Pikachu's not that big, so each model has about 2,000 parts in it. So it really just comes down to if a particular color is available. So it took me months and months and months to do Charmander because it took me so long to accumulate that much orange. But I built Ditto because there was a store that had a clearance on all their lavender, because they're like, no one builds anything in lavender. And I was like, cool, I'll buy all that lavender. And so I bought all this lavender and then went through the process of trying to figure out what Pokemon was lavender. And then, just went through in my mind, I'm like, Ditto, I'll just build a Ditto. And that was the same with Geodude as well, actually. I had a friend talking to me how they had had thousands of grey parts that they, for a mock that they never went through with. And they're like, I don't know anyone who's going to buy 1,000 grey 2x4s off me. And I was like, done. I don't even know what I'm going to be building yet, but I will buy those bricks off you. And that's what kind of started those. Eevee and Togepi, even though they're quite iconic, I built them mainly because they were small. They're both about 30 centimeters tall. So it meant that the project, relatively speaking, was quite a quick one, just in terms of the scale, and easy to kind of move around. Even though Eevee was more expensive than Pikachu, even though Eevee's half the size, just because of the color, at least it was like a smaller project that I could kind of just do and almost tackle in one hit. Because models like Charmander and Squirtle took me months and months to accumulate the parts.
For anybody that's listening, if you have a whole bunch of Lego pieces in an odd color that you can't get rid of, Dave will buy them from you.
Pretty much. It's a lot of people in the local Australian Lego community, if they have like a bulk amount of color that they're finding hard to get rid of, they'll send me a message. They're like, hey, are you interested in buying, 900 lime green 2x4s? I was like, absolutely, I will buy. Like, for me, the biggest thing is about quantity. Like, there's been very few projects that I've had where I've actually been able to finish it in a sense, not one sitting, but as in like one block, pardon the pun. It usually takes months and months to accumulate parts because I'm ordering from overseas or trying to get parts that I need. Like Squirtle took forever. Like Squirtle took from July, or maybe even a bit sooner, from June till maybe.
That's just because those colors were especially rare. Just which colors were those that were that rare?
Medium blue. Not fun. It just took a really, really long time to accumulate that much medium blue. I pretty much cleared out every single store in Australia of medium blue and still didn't have enough. I was ordering from overseas.
Wow.
So yes, I've just gone completely off track with this whole thing here, but I don't even know what the original question was. I don't even know what I was talking about, except it just took me a very long time to build some of those. Oh yeah, you asked why I build those particular models. That's where we're getting back to. Sorry, I got confused. I will build a model if I have access to a lot of color of that brick, and I'll build around the color that I have available.
We have an offer already.
There you go.
One cent's pretty good.
That's a pretty good deal there, Barker. So,
but how much is postage going to cost
to Australia?
1 cent for shipping, and just several $100s to ship it. So,
I'm really. It's quite good
for anyone who is interested in building Pikachu. There is plenty of yellow bricks in the world, so you will not have the same issues finding the rare colors or parts. So I don't think that should be at all something that you're worried about. So we'll bankrupt the world's supply of yellow bricks together eventually, but not anytime soon. But anyways, I know, so parts availability is a big thing too for the helmets that we put together and that you designed, Christopher. So talk about how part availability has affected the design process for you as far as Commander Cody and I know Boba Fett and some of these other helmets. How does that play into the design process?
Yeah, so I alluded to this earlier on in the stream. If you are still here since then, thanks for sticking around.
Hey.
So what I alluded to is that we design a lot of our models with software that we designed in-house, so that I coded myself. And so I have the luxury of both designing the model and putting in the work to make the software work in the way that I want it to. And so one of the things that I've been working on over the past few months, and something that the Wave 3 models are benefiting from, is reducing the part count to the best of my ability. And actually a lot of that was inspired by going through Dave Holder's Pikachu model and just seeing the ways that his very expert craftsmanship hands have placed the bricks in the best, most efficient ways possible. And so I've improved our software so that it uses bricks a lot more efficiently. And so you'll notice that Commander Cody there actually uses 4,700 bricks, I believe, somewhere around there. And that's not very much more than Captain Rex or the 501st helmet, even though it is significantly larger. If we were to generate with our software Commander Cody with the old code, the code that generated waves 1 and 2 of our Bricker Builds models, it would be around 5,600 bricks. It would take probably 5 to 7 more hours to build, and it would be significantly more expensive, like $200 to $300 more expensive.
Wow.
So that's just some of the work that we've been doing to. One of the big things is using larger bricks and using bricks rather than plates as much as possible. And as we get more efficient, we actually get more structural stability rather than less. Because when you're using a long, like for example, a long 1x12 plate, a brick to support, say, the dome at the top there, the top of the helmet, you're actually getting a lot more stability. When you press down on it, it's the weight is distributed out to the sides rather than if it's a bunch of 1x3 and 2x3 plates, that's gonna. It still doesn't cave, but it's got a lot more. It could handle a lot more pressure nowadays.
We had a comment from Melissa. She said, "Chris, usually you must go through a boatload of 1x1 and 1x2 on your models." But
I do.
Yeah, you want to show off your bucket?
I have. This isn't very many, but I actually have a whole bucket of 1x2s and 1x3s that I put just next to my desk as I'm coding, just so that I can like test little builds and stuff. And obviously, that's not my entire collection. Most of that's at another place, but. Yeah, I use quite a few. I would say on our original models, like let's say Commander Code or Captain Rex, there's probably 300 to 400 1x1s on a single helmet.
Wow.
So nowadays we're using more in the 1 to 200 1x1 range. But
let me do this real quick. We gotta see what they look like right next to each other though. Because this is the pair. How cool is that, though?
It's beautiful. So, and just to clarify, so Captain Rex right there, he's the Clone Wars version. So it's got that slightly more animated style, a little bit more like tighter fitting. But it's still got all the details that you would see if he were to, show up on a Revenge of the Sith type movie.
Yeah.
And then Commander Cody is based on the Revenge of the Sith helmet that he wears when he appears in Revenge of the Sith.
Very nice, very nice. Very cool. I mean, this is just super cool. And, it's just speaking of Commander Cody too, because this is the first one we've done that has had all the extra little design elements like, the visor, and he's got like these comm things, these equipment on the sides of his head too. So it's definitely.
I've got a question for you guys in the comments. What do you know what that? I don't know if it's a rangefinder, that camera looking thing on the side there. You guys know what that is? I haven't taken the time to look it up. Yeah, but we want to know. Does it serve some sort of function? Is it
just looks cool?
Yeah, it does look cool.
It's got just the cool factor,
One of you guys in the comments could look it up if you wanted to.
Yeah, somebody can do that. We also have the smaller versions. So this is the recreation of the "Don't ever talk to me or my son ever again" meme here. So mini me Cody and full life size Cody. So there you go.
I had someone ask on Instagram why the white patterns don't show up on the visor on the half scale helmet. That's a great question. When condensing down some of these builds, sometimes that does mean that little details can't be perfectly represented. But that's something that I think we'll be getting better at in the future, especially as we're teaming up with Dave Holder and getting some more intricate and unique building styles into these things. Of course, snot techniques has always been something I've been a fan of, but there's always new things I'm learning, and I think we'll be getting better and better at capturing some of these details, especially,
Yeah, for sure.
Wave 4 might be some cool stuff there.
Just maybe. Just maybe a few cool things. We had Karma J say, "Oh, it's a floodlight." That makes sense, I guess. Like a flashlight.
Now
I
that
don't ever see him use that in the movie, but I could be wrong. But
now that she mentions it, I should say he or she. I do remember, Captain Rex has that tiny little. Well, I guess it's Captain Rex's Phase 1 helmet has that tiny little camera or floodlight.
Yeah.
he uses that in the Clone Wars movie, I remember, and a couple of times in the TV show. I guess that makes sense for Commander Cody as well.
Yeah, totally. Real quick, so it's been about an hour and a half. So I think what we're gonna do is try and start wrapping things up here in a little bit. But I just want to give a notice to anyone who's watching and wants to ask any questions for Dave or for Christopher. If you guys want to know more about Pikachu or Commander Cody or our Scout Trooper, all of these are the Wave 3 models, and you can get the instructions for all of these on the website. Do we want to pull up the website real quick and just show that off? We can if we want to, but
definitely, yeah. As we're waiting on questions, yeah.
It's a good website.
It's a fun one. It went through many design iterations before we launched in October. There was, I think we had 3 different themes and designs that we went through before we landed on this one. And I'm really happy. I think it's pretty sleek, just like our models. At least that's the goal.
All right, so let me pull it up here, and we can take a look at it real quick before we go. If you guys haven't seen this before, of course, this is our website. We've got all of our new models here, and Pikachu, of
Two
course.
Two of the 3.
2 of the 3, yep. So you can get some good pictures of them and kind of see what they look like from all different sides. We've got some stylized pictures as well in here. And you can also get all of the information if you want to know just the measurements for how large these things are. You can find all that here as well. But yeah.
Why don't you want to take them to the FAQ page as well?
Yeah. Let me pull that up. We had a few people. Go ahead.
Yeah, the FAQ page is definitely something you should check out because we got a ton of really good questions. And for the ones that we know we can answer pretty generally, we try to put them up on the FAQ page. So things like how to purchase the parts, how much do our models cost? How do we download the instructions? And then for a lot of these questions, we actually try to record video tutorials as well, because I think that's the most fun and the most interesting way to learn these things. So Adam for the instructions tutorial is going to show you how to download the instructions and order the parts. And then if you want to head over to the videos page, I actually walk you guys through some strategies to think over when you're actually building these models. Yeah, right there on the how to build. And so if you guys are interested and want to check out our tips on how we do these things and how we'd recommend approaching these, definitely check those out. We've got reviews up there as well. Both Adam and I have reviewed some of our models, and we also get to work with awesome people like David Hall from Solid Brick Studios, as well as, we're potentially looking to, get some awesome reviewers to talk about our models. So, and if you are interested in checking out David Hall's videos, definitely check him out. He's got a YouTube channel, Solid Brick Studios. Phenomenal guy. He's been reviewing our models since the very start. So that's pretty exciting.
Very nice. Yeah. So everything is here. Again, if you guys have any questions for either Dave or Christopher, we had another comment from Melissa. Oh my gosh, I'm your biggest fan. I've purchased 5 already, but have to build one at a time. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
That is which ones did you build, Alyssa? I think she was talking about Cody. But
I would really like to see, Alyssa, a picture of all of the models on display in your house. That would be awesome to see. We've got them displayed up in a studio space, but I want to see what it looks like. It's pretty cool.
Very nice. Well, I think that should be about it for this stream. We can go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's make sure to plug Dave. If you want to see any more of his models, where can they find those, Dave?
My ones.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Just go to classic good old Instagram, and you can search my name, which is just Dave_Holder. will take you to my page. If you're following Bricker Builds already, then you will already maybe have seen my name pop up. My name will be in some of the tag posts of Pikachu, so you can find it there. And vice versa, if for some reason you came to this video just to watch me and have no idea what Bricker Builds is, make sure you go over to the Bricker Builds Instagram and follow it as well. That's the best place to keep up with up-to-date photos and content, for me at least.
Very
awesome.
Cool. Christopher, any final words for our stream viewers?
Yeah, I would say if you're not already subscribed on YouTube, we are planning to do more Instagram and YouTube live streams, and they won't always be available in both places. So definitely subscribe on YouTube if you're here on YouTube, and check us out on Instagram. Awesome to see you guys. Awesome to hang out with you guys. We'll do these streams again soon.
Indeed, indeed. And with that, we will we'll end our broadcast. Thank you guys so much for watching, and go pick up one of the instructions for one of our Wave 3 models as soon as you can, right after the stream. So thank you guys, and have a good one.